Hello, I'm Mark London, president of Verity IT. We are an IT solutions provider delivering IT support to small and mid-market businesses in Chicago and nationwide. Having been in the business world over the years, I've seen a thing or two when it comes to office culture, as I'm sure all of you have. So today we are going to talk about just that, culture. A successful cybersecurity culture cannot exist without identifying your organization's risk tolerance. Once you understand which systems need protection, you can make informed decisions about how to secure your data and set expectations about employee behavior. If protecting your business from criminals who want to steal from you was as easy as giving employees policies and rules to follow, well, then we'd do those things and be finished. Unfortunately, that's not enough these days. I think we all know that. Here's two reasons why. First, criminals are constantly upping their game. As a business leader, you know the importance of constant innovation. Cyber criminals do too. Tactics change constantly, and it's hard to keep yourself up to date on the latest threats, much less your employees. Secondly, humans are complex. We often do not make decisions based on finely written policy. I think we all know that. Sometimes we make decisions based upon how we feel. In terms of security, that irrationality can actually be a good thing. Employees often catch fraud attempts because something doesn't feel right. We want to use that irrationality, that gut feeling, to our advantage when protecting our business. That's why culture is important. You can't dictate it. Written policy and processes are there to support your culture, provide guardrails, but they will not create it. You also cannot completely control it. Culture lives in your employees' hearts and minds. So how do you make cybercrime and fraud protection key attributes of your company culture? We will run through some of that in today's webinar, along with some of the threats you and your employees should look for and other ways to protect you and your business. How do you make cybercrime and fraud protection key attributes of your company culture? Well, did you know that barely 90% of all hacks are the result of human error? It's sort of crazy to think about. Your team is at the core of your cyber safety. And if you create this culture, you will help create a successful business. How do you create this so-called culture, you ask? Simple. One, be an example. Employees will follow your lead, but you have to do just that, lead. Do they see you exhibiting a healthy suspicion when something doesn't feel right? Do they see you following processes put in place to protect your business from business email compromise or ransomware? If you take shortcuts that put your business at risk, employees will do the same. You need to walk the talk, as it said. Your behavior as a leader shifts attitudes, beliefs, and ultimately employee behavior. Two, be clear. People like clarity. It keeps us focused on what really matters. Clarity helps us prioritize our work. On the flip side, confusion or the lack thereof clarity often leads to a company culture where individuals are constantly in reaction mode instead of proactive. That leads to burnout for both you and your employees. Likewise, when it comes to protecting your business, be clear about what's expected of your workforce. Create written policies and have processes and procedures in place that make it clear that protecting the business is a priority. And be repetitive. Creating the security culture you desire at your business is not a one-time event. It's a continuous process. Repetition, like anything in life, is key for instilling good security habits in your employees. If you want the people working for you to make secure habits a part of their regular routine, repetition is crucial. See what I did there? Repetition helps create new habits over time. So out of the ordinary tasks become routine. For example, calling a vendor to confirm they're really asking you to charge their pay to account. Lather, rinse, and repeat. Sort of like my golf game. Educating yourself and your staff is also a crucial part in creating a cyber-aware culture at your business. What are some of the threats you need to look for, and how do you react if you see one? Well, one, phishing. Phishing is a typical and widely seen attack way for fraudsters to distribute large distribution of emails to a business, not targeting anyone, just attempting to get a few replies. These social engineering attacks are becoming more and more sophisticated. The core of them is exploiting human nature rather than computer devices to gain access to a computer. It's usually done by playing with human psychology and taking advantage of our desire to help and trust people. 2, physical security. We lock our doors and our filing cabinets, yet we hold the door open for people that appear to be visiting or doing a delivery. So very few of us ask, what are you doing here? Who can I get to help you? Physical security and cybersecurity very often go hand in hand. In order for a hack to be successful, the perpetrator usually tries to get to know the victim a little bit. Sometimes that is done within the physical space of your business. Other times it's online. Trusting by verifying is a critical thing to remember when developing a cybersecurity culture. Malware. Ugh. Malware is a contraction of malicious software. Put simply, malware is any piece of software that was written with the intent of damaging devices, stealing data, and generally causing chaos. Regardless of what type of malware you contract, always implement an antivirus and anti-malware program on all your devices. We recommend using reputable antivirus and anti-malware business software. And in a lot of cases, it's best to work with a security professional to install and maintain those. And improperly configured antivirus software can throw you off and compromise the security of all your devices. Always think before you click is what we say. If you leave with something here today, please remember that the majority of hacks start with human error. We're all human, we all get busy, and click on things we shouldn't click on. As you create a culture in your office, that is the one thing you're protecting against. Make sure everyone and everybody is in the loop so we all think before we click. And 4, this is a hot topic today, all across the world, ransomware. Ransomware is a type of malicious software cyber criminals use to block you from accessing your own data. The digital fraudsters encrypt the files on your system and add extensions to the text data and hold it hostage until the demanded ransom is paid. If you have paid any attention to headlines from the last few years, you would know that anyone in any business can fall victim to ransomware. Large hospital systems, city governments, municipalities, but also, and quite more frequently, small businesses and small entrepreneurs are the victim of it. And the financial and sometimes reputation effects can be devastating. So you're probably thinking like, what can I do about all this? We get it. We hear that quite often. And as I mentioned previously, think before you click. Quite a few attacks can be avoided by taking a moment to think through what it is that you're looking at on your screen in that moment. If you're anything like me, you're getting 100 plus emails a day, maybe even more. And a lot of them are legit. But at the same time, a lot of them are trying to see if you'll click on a link that you shouldn't. We all get busy. If we do not have an organizational culture of safety and security, it's very easy to click on that link and to trust that the email we're receiving is from the correct person. So take a breath, like I need to do right now, and think before you click. My favorite, which a lot of us would not do in today's very fast-paced culture, is to simply pick up the phone. If your employees are used to double checking some of these emails by picking up the phone and calling their contact at the bank or the financial officer or some other responsible party, it goes a long way to securing your business. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, one of our clients had this exact thing happen to them. A person in their accounting department received an email requesting a money transfer from the president of the company. And had they not gone through the Verity IT security awareness training, where we discuss what to do in similar situations, simply picking up the phone to verify such emails, the employee probably wouldn't have thought twice to confirm. And turns out it was a phishing scam, and the business could have potentially been out quite a bit of money. In fact, in this case, the person was requesting a wire transfer of over $30,000. The last tip is never give out passwords and usernames. Everyone believes that it's common sense. We should never give out passwords and usernames. But the reality of it is that people still do it, and they do it all the time. This is how some pretty nasty hacks have happened in the past. So, of course, we want to be able to fully trust that everyone is always being as safe as possible. However, that's not always the case. Some other ways you can secure your business besides just securing the culture are quite simple. So let's look at them. Using a VPN. VPNs are very important, and they're not just for offsite, but in the context of today's conversation about culture and with everything we've been going through with the pandemic, well, we've all come accustomed to a work lifestyle that allows us to work from home. Using the open Wi-Fi at home, a local coffee shop, or really anywhere, can be very costly because the data that is being transferred via local Wi-Fi network is not encrypted. If you are allowing some flexibility to your workforce to be creative and to be out there, work from home, you should teach them how and why to use a VPN and then provide it for them. Another way to secure your business is by use of firewalls. There are two different types of firewalls for the most part, a hardware-based firewall and a software-based firewall. The physical, the hardware, is installed on your network and they offer more security and more custom options. They're more complex to use. There's a physical appliance that connects directly to the network, whereas the software firewall is installed on the computer. They're not as robust. They're a little bit less expensive, but also a little bit less secure. A company like ours, someone like us, could help you with both of them. For example, a physical firewall can prevent malicious codes from ever getting to your computer, but a software firewall must analyze the malicious codes on your computer. Because of this, it is recommended to have both a physical firewall and a software firewall in place. So what do? Obviously, they block unauthorized access, and they can assist in preventing hackers from infiltrating the network. Or properly configured firewalls are the reason why most of these attacks are not successful. The reverse statement is also true. If your firewall is not properly configured, and we see this quite a bit, you're opening a door and giving access to hackers that might want access to data. Make sure you're working with a professional to set those up, not just someone who is really good with computers. Boy, do we see that a lot. Oh, my brother-in-law this, or my neighbor this. Listen, work with a professional, someone that understands what the settings really mean is critical and crucial to protecting your business. Password managers are yet another way to help protect your business. Managing passwords nowadays is merely impossible. At least it seems like for me. So a lot of us divert to using passwords or repeating them. I should say revert to using the same passwords or easy passwords, or we're just repeating them in every single application that we log into. To avoid that pitfall, password managers were created. The user only has to remember one master login and password. The rest of your passwords are encrypted when you store them on your password management site. Some password managers can be installed on your phone, your tablet, on your computer, which makes it easy to work with all the devices. Using the same password will be available to you no matter what device you're using. They're very handy for keeping all of your data secure and your employees less confused with everything they have to manage. Another really popular way to address this is multi-factor authentication, which adds additional layers of security, especially when signing into an account for the password. There are multiple ways to use it, with one of the most common being a text message. I think we're all probably somewhat familiar with this by nowadays, but if you're not, listen up. After you enter your password, the login account will send a message to your phone with a one-time expiring code to complete the login. That's not something that you would necessarily install on your website, but we highly, highly recommend that you use them for your bank accounts and your highly critical applications for your business. This way, in case of a hack, the criminal will not be able to log in without actually having access to your phone. Which, if you're like my wife, it seems like she loses her phone constantly, which is why we have other measures for it. Backing up all your data is really the only defense against ransomware. If you don't want to pay the ransom, which most of us don't, then back up, and have another backup. BYOD, and this is not the weekend acronym that I'm talking about. What I mean by this is, what is your bring your own device policy? Don't let your employees get emails or leads on personal cell phones. For example, if an employee's cell phone got a virus or was lost or stolen, how would you protect your data that was on the employee's phone or tablet? There's technology tools that can help you with that. So have a BYOD policy. So in closing, establishing a strong security culture will not happen overnight. It's like running a marathon. It takes many days, and you'll wonder why it's taking so long for your team to get it. But as a leader, you have complete control over what you do to bring about cultural change. Lead by example, make your expectations clear, provide training to your employees, which is so critical, and then repeat secure processes until they become habits. Oftentimes we say, inspect what you expect. We at Verity IT are happy to assist in protecting against any of the cyber threats your office may run into. And let me tell you, we've seen a lot of them. Are you correctly set up with the VPN? So all of your data backed up to the cloud or an external hard drive? These are questions we typically ask, and oftentimes the business owners that we work with, they don't know. That's one of the ways that we can help make your life easier and your cybersecurity culture stronger. That's why we are offering a free security assessment today to everyone who attended today's webinar. This assessment is a quick, non-intrusive way to identify any internal network vulnerabilities, including password policies, user databases, IT assets, personally identifiable information, and more that may be at risk. We don't want to just tell you that we can make your life easier, we can show you how we'll do it. So we're running out of time, we have a few minutes left, so I wanted to first off let everyone know that we will be hosting another webinar on Thursday of this week regarding the dangers of the dark web. Scary. We will be jointly hosting it with one of our trusted partners at ID Agent, who specializes in the dark web. This is a great opportunity to learn about some of the dangers on the internet. And Kim, who will be hosting the webinar there, will be able to answer any questions you may have about it. We will send everyone the registration form to it and a follow-up email shortly in case you are interested. Well, speaking of questions, I'm being waved down that we have a few questions that have come in during the webinar. So let me address those right now. The first question we had come through is, what are some things I can do as a business owner to get my staff interested in this subject? That's a great question, something that we've thought about quite a bit. You could really approach it in any way you like. However, it's always nice to ramp up your employees by sweetening the deal a little bit. Doing a company outing, holding a lunch and learn. There's no better way to get your staff on board with a new custom practice or new custom application and making it a little different than the usual meeting. Hope that helps there. The second question that came in is, we don't provide VPN for employees working from home. How can we protect our employees in other ways? Yeah, we see that a lot these days, especially with the COVID pandemic. So as a business owner, you should always provide yourself and your employees a VPN. It's just a direct answer, but there's no other way around it. There's no better way to secure your business and your employees, your assets, than to have them channeled through a protected and encrypted network. Using public Wi-Fi, including their home, it just leads to major breaches and complications for you and your business. Let's see, we have time probably for one more question. Let me see, look for a good one here that maybe I'll use from. How about this? And by the way, if we don't get all your questions, we'll follow up to you on an email, but here we go. What about this? What if an employee who just doesn't care or seem to understand the importance of cyber safety? I think what they're asking here is like, what if you have an employee that's just not engaged and showing the behaviors that you're looking for? I think we all have employees like that in our organizations that we can relate. So, a lot of that's going to depend on how you like to manage, but a good way to, combat that behavior, there's always going to be people who don't take this seriously. But if you lead by example, you repeat your processes to them, and you're clear about what you're expecting, they'll eventually grasp the concept. And if not, you're going to have to make the decision whether or not that employee's benefits to the business outweigh the risks that they're creating by not following suit. So I'm out of time here. I'm getting flagged that we had to move on. So I appreciate everyone for joining. I hope this was beneficial to you. We want to thank everyone who joined. And if you had a question that we didn't get to, we will email you with your response. I know there's a couple here, and we'll shoot those out. And hope everyone has a great day and gets to work on creating a good culture for your organization around cybersecurity. Thanks a lot.